What is up there, SEO pros? Welcome back. Today we're covering SEO versus PPC. Which one is better? Now, to be honest with you, just to give you guys the short answer, I don't think either one is better. I think both of them are beneficial. And I'm basically going to be covering throughout this video sort of the advantages and disadvantages of both. Now, both of these things, before we get started, can be extremely powerful, but also can be extremely limiting in certain regards. So just giving you guys that as a heads up. So we're going to start out with SEO, even though I put that in the wrong order here. So we're going to start out with the advantages. The first thing that I'm going to say is that SEO is a long-term strategy, which usually plays into the safer side of things. Now, don't get me wrong, you can really mess up on your SEO and do a lot of bad things, which we're going to talk about in the disadvantages. But generally, when you do SEO, you're looking at your marketing, your online marketing, as more of a long-term strategy. And generally, the people who try to get into this marketing strategy as a short-term strategy end up failing, which is why whenever I do audits for people, I tell them, hey, look, if you're trying to do this, I would not recommend that you use this as a short-term strategy, and I would not, say that you're probably going to rank for anything for at least 3 to 6 months if you haven't generated any authority or ranked for anything previously. So the next thing about the about search engine optimization is you basically get free conversions except for your time that goes into it. So obviously time is money, and let me just put that in there. And so that's not basically free, but in a way it is free because you're not directly spending money. You're using your time as something that equals money, but most people would rather spend their time doing something like this to get conversions rather than spend money right out of the gate, especially if you're new to the online side of advertising. So in many ways, there's also much less risk when doing SEO. But there's also a lot more risk, which we'll talk about in the disadvantages. Now, I say there's less risk in the sense of you're not going to be likely to lose as much money really fast unless you're really messing up on your site. But if you're just building a new site and, oops, I needed some water, hold on. And you start doing SEO on it, chances are you're not going to be risking, hundreds to thousands of dollars like you would on an AdWords campaign that may never pan out. So SEO is also great for authority building. So are ads, but ads can be a little bit more spammy. And what I mean by that is, when people see ads like the Ty Lopez ads, which is more not in the video network side of things, not the PPC, but even in some of the PPC side of things, you'll click into them and it'll be like a really spammy landing page that they're over promising, and you can pretty much tell that they would more than likely be under delivering. So on the SEO side of things, if you're building out really good content, ranking for stuff, and generating an audience, generally you're going to be building authority at a lot faster pace than maybe if you were to do PPC. But there are some strategies around the PPC side of things where you could do free giveaways and generate email lists and then send content to these people where it's not directly applied to the SEO side of things, but you would still be generating authority. So I think both could be used for this, but I think that SEO is probably a better avenue for generating authority. And by the way, I plug this in a lot of my recent videos, but if you guys are interested in learning how I generate authority step by step, you can head over to my website, and I have a landing page where you can pretty much sign up for my SEO Triforcing course, where I cover how to build authority, how to increase user metrics, and how to basically find user intent for keywords and stuff like that. All right. So the next thing is SEO is extremely powerful when used correctly and understood correctly. That means, the white hat side of things, generally, you can still use SEO in ways that would work really well in the black hat side of things, but it's the main problem is, when people accidentally do black hat and they don't know it's black hat, The people who are really good at black hat understand the difference between black hat and white hat, and they can kind of figure out the fine lines in between those things. I would not recommend black hat as a long-term strategy. I wouldn't recommend black hat really at all. I don't do that, but either way, when you understand SEO to a certain degree, it can pretty much be applied to any market, which is one of the things I was going to talk about next. And you can pretty much use strategies that you learn with SEO to rank for a lot of different things that's not around just one niche anymore. So the long-term benefit of that, I think, is extremely powerful, and so that's what I meant by that. So like I said before, it can be pretty much used in every niche when you understand it correctly. Of course, some niches are going to differ than more than others. Just because you know SEO doesn't mean you're going to be an expert in ranking stuff around insurance, because you also have to understand the niche to a certain degree and how people interact with the content and how you're going to try to rank the content. Just another side note, Google doesn't always show the exact or doesn't always have the exact same ranking algorithm for one search as it would for another. So just because you're really good in one niche, SEO, doesn't mean that you can just go and rank like 5 other niches in a day without knowing anything about them. It's still possible, but it's definitely harder, and I found that out myself. So the other thing is that SEO has a ton of potential to grow. It seems like it's becoming more and more needed as we progress further into the future, and I would say that it's probably, if it isn't already, going to be one of the top avenues of marketing in the future. So the other thing is that SEO can fuel an entire business with pretty much, like I said, free, except for minus the time or whatever you're actually spending on SEO, with long-term leads, whether they be local or national or affiliate products, that kind of thing. So that's, I think, probably one of the coolest parts about it. So we're going to cover the disadvantages now, and there are a few, I will say that. So as you guys know, one of the first disadvantages is that SEO can take a long time, especially in oversaturated markets. That's what I said when I first started talking about this stuff during the advantages, is that if you're doing this stuff and you have no authority and you have no audience and no rankings for anything in the past, then it's going to be a lot harder generally to start ranking, especially in oversaturated markets. So a good example of this is if you're brand new in the insurance niche with a brand new domain and no content, and you go, hey, I want to rank for insurance quotes by tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. So that's one of the disadvantages. It can be extremely technical and confusing. So a lot of people who learn SEO end up getting a lot of stress around the sort of the different things that go on with SEO. It can be extremely basic. SEO can be extremely basic in terms of the things that you would want to know, in terms of title tags, meta descriptions, H1 tags. All that stuff's pretty easy to learn. But then when we start getting into things like schema markup or duplicate content issues or OG data or anything really that becomes super, or not super technical, but more technical, site design, learning CSS, and user experience optimization, that's when it can get really confusing, because everybody's trying to push the needle a little bit further and get a site speed down to 0.30 seconds and get all their schema markup exactly correct. And should I use local business markup or should I use chiropractor markup? So that's one of the parts where even me to this day, I get sometimes confused about. Actually, many times I get confused about, but that's why some people actually like this field, is because it can be confusing and it can be technical, and it's almost like a video game at a certain point. So the other thing is that if you use SEO incorrectly, and we talked about this a little bit before, it can lose you a lot of traffic and sales, especially if you're already getting rankings on your site and you start optimizing your pages, and then it doesn't go like you expected and you lose a bunch of rankings. Or say you're doing a bunch of link building and you think it's white hat, but really you're buying PBNs and somebody told you it was white hat but it's not, and then you end up tanking your entire site because you got hit by the penguin algorithm. So that's why this is one of the major downsides of SEO, and can really end up tanking your business or other people's businesses if you're not careful. So the other thing is, like I said earlier, it can be extremely stressful and somewhat compared to gambling at a certain point, which is another reason why I think people like this and SEO, and I think it's another reason why I like SEO. I used to have a problem with gambling, if you guys couldn't guess right now. So the downside, though, like I said, is that it can be extremely stressful and also correlate a lot with the technical side of things, of really just trying to be the best in every regard when there's so much out there that it's really hard to do that. So I think, just as a life lesson here, just to give you guys a quick side note, the less seriously you can take yourself around this stuff and sort of just try to learn what you can and test what you can, but not take things so personally, which is sort of where I went with things, I think the better off you're going to do in this niche. But that's a completely other life lesson / video. So the other downfall of SEO is that it can be somewhat next to impossible to outrank others in super competitive niches. So even if you have a somewhat competitive or authoritative website and you have keyword rankings and you got links, that kind of stuff, and it's white hat and you're doing well, chances are, even if that's happening, you still can have a very hard time outranking some of the bigger players out there, like for instance Yelp, or say for instance like we were talking about with insurance, trying to outrank Geico for a certain keyword. So that's where other things go into play, like long tail keyword research and trying to optimize for less competitive terms, and then slowly working your way up to more competitive terms as you gain authority. And the last disadvantage, and I'm sure there's many other advantages and disadvantages of SEO that I didn't mention here, but I put Google is always updating its algorithms, and that means SEO is always changing. So the good thing about that is it gives new people like you guys, or maybe some of you are more experienced in this industry, but say half of you guys watching are less experienced. It gives you guys a chance to sort of play with other SEOs who might say that they're the best, when really the algorithm could change tomorrow and you'll know just as much as everybody else. Except in some regards, I mean, you pick up a lot on the way, like for instance, the psychology of how people interact with websites and so other things that you're going to learn on the way. But overall, from a code-based standpoint, a link-based standpoint side of things can always change. And so I think that's the sort of not only the negative side of SEO, but also the positive for people who are looking to learn this stuff, and also makes it a little bit more level of a playing field between all of the SEOs out there. So we're going to talk about the PPC advantages and the disadvantages, and then after that I'm going to sign off. So first of all, the advantages. PPC can bring in early data and sales, and what I mean by that is you can actually start getting search rates really fast off of your AdWords campaign. So say you start optimizing your landing pages with as much SEO as you can, you do all the perfect schema markup, you do everything you can, and they're just not really showing up for your keywords. You go into Search Console and you're still not seeing anything in terms of the any clicks for the keywords you're going for. So the cool thing about AdWords is you can set up a landing page, and if you are going to set up a landing page, I'd probably recommend you do it through ClickFunnels. I've been experimenting with ClickFunnels a lot, and I actually just created an audit page in my last video. If you guys didn't see it, I suggest you head over here. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. It's chasetrainer.com/get-SEO-audit, and these pages are, in my opinion, work way better in terms of conversion rate optimization. But I'm getting off topic. So the cool thing is if I started pointing ads to those pages, I would be able to get search data off of the AdWords campaign and get the exact searches people are typing in. Not only that, but we know that we can start getting sales at a way faster rate than if we were to wait for our site to rank organically. Another advantage of PPC is that you can continue to fuel your campaigns as long as you continue to generate sales. So if you set up conversion tracking correctly, and if you don't know how to set up conversion tracking, I have tutorials for that. All you have to do is go to YouTube, type in conversion tracking 2017, and you can check out some of the videos on how to set this stuff up. Oops, conversion tracking, sorry. Right there and right there. So if you set that up correctly, you can pretty much tell whether or not you're generating sales. And if you can tell, you know, for instance, you're spending $20 per sale, because you can see that through AdWords if the conversion tracking set up, then you can keep those campaigns on as long as you're breaking even or generating an ROI. So that's the positive side, another positive side of PPC. Another positive side after that would be you can be somewhat guaranteed to show above the fold on Google searches if you're willing to pay the price, of course. So if you guys don't know what above the fold means, it basically means when you load a page, that's just what you see. That's above the fold. So when you do a Google search, above the fold would be without scrolling down. Now, of course, you're going to be bidding based off your ad rank on AdWords, and you may not be able to be listed on the first page or the first 4 results, depending on how many are showing. But if you pay enough, you probably will show above the fold. So that's one of the cool things about AdWords. Another cool thing, and there are many others, like I said, I left probably some stuff out in here, but you can actually leverage certain things like local extensions to get listed in the map pack when you're going to be doing local SEO. So if you guys don't know what that looks like, you can actually go and Google something local to your area. And generally people will do these local extensions. We're not seeing one here, but sometimes you will see them. But you can actually show up in the map here. And when I was using my ads for this site, for the iPhone repair site, which I'm actually doing a local SEO course on, if you guys haven't signed up for that, I'm launching a local SEO course. You can go to my site, go here, and check out the preview for it. But anyways, I'm going to be covering pretty much how I rank this and how you can too. When I was running ads for this, I had an ad here. I had an ad here in the map. I was showing up twice on the map because I had one for the map, and then I was ranking one organically here. And then I was also ranking #1 here. So I was just taking like basically all of the real estate for that area. So that can be extremely powerful and drive a huge ROI, which, like I said, if you're making an ROI, then you just keep the ads enabled. And if you can cross that with SEO as well, it's super, super powerful. So the next thing is you can only you can choose whether you only show up for keywords you want or an audience you want. So for instance, you know, people between age 30 to 40, stuff male to female, certain locations within certain areas who are only looking up certain keywords. So you can be really specific with your audience targeting and your keywords versus SEO, where you're going to basically be showing for everybody. So now we're going to cover the disadvantages, and then I will sign off because I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. So of course, PPC can be extremely expensive, and there's a lot of risk when you start spending money on ads. You don't always break even, and sometimes, and most of the time, you don't end up making an ROI. So that's one of the huge warnings about PPC. Another one is that it can be really complicated and hard to learn and also be successful at. I personally took every single AdWords course there is out there. If you guys don't know about this, you can actually go to google.com/partners, I believe it is, and Google will let you get certified with AdWords and analytics. And I got certified with every single area of AdWords, but it took me over like 3 to 4 months. And to be honest with you, it was not as beneficial to me to do that as it was to start taking like online courses through Udemy, where I learned a lot more. But even there, it still was extremely complicated, and the amount of craziness and technicalities you can dive into in terms of ads, not even just on PPC, but on the video network and remarketing and display advertising, it is insane. So I will say that even though you can set up basic campaigns, and I will be showing how to do a very successful campaign with pretty easy steps in the actual local course, I will still say that you can get extremely technical, almost even more technical than you could with SEO. So less people, another disadvantage is that less people click on ads these days, except for Google has been trying to combat this with the, of course, green ads opposed to yellow now, which have improved click-through rates, and also by listing up to four ads in the above the fold now. So there has been actually a surplus of people clicking on ads since they did that, but still people generally try to ignore ads. You can another disadvantage is that you could be in competition with people who have unlimited ad budgets or really high ad budgets. So trying to outbid Geico on certain keywords would be a very bad idea. Or if you're trying to combat with people like who are lawyers, some of their average cost per click values are upwards of $400. Which brings us to the next point. Your competition could try to sabotage you by clicking on your ads and charging you, if you were a lawyer, $400 a click in that industry. So I think the last thing disadvantage I put was that no matter what, you're going to always be paying. And I think that's probably the major downfall for ads, which there are a lot of advantages, and there's no pun intended there, advantages. But that's, one of the biggest, I think, comparisons from Google to ads, besides the speed in which you can rank, of course, with the ads, is that no matter what, you're always going to be paying. And with organic, at a certain point, if you do it right, you could have a streamlined income and not really be paying anything, except for, of course, your time that goes into the SEO, which can become less and less over time. So that's everything. I would love to hear back from you guys on what your top tips are. Or sorry, tips. I've been doing so many tip-based posts that I for some reason thought we were doing a post about tips. But I would love to hear what you guys think your top disadvantages and advantages of either PPC or SEO are. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, you can do so by going to Facebook, typing in White Hat SEO Network. You could also text the word SEO to 66866 and get in. You can also just go to the description and get in there. If you need help with SEO, you want to schedule an audit, you want to schedule some time with me, you can do so on my website. And let me just answer these questions before I head out. Adrian says, "What's up, Chase? I get up at 5 in the morning to continue with my triforcing." Nice. How's that going, man? Schubert also is doing that, which is great. I need to start getting up earlier. I actually have a hard time sleeping sometimes. Adrian says, "Do you ever sleep? Making videos all the time. So hard to keep up with you. Keep up the good work, man." Thanks, dude. Adrian says, "Catch thumbs up with power to learn this stuff." CVM says, "I always wonder. Also glad for these videos." Thanks, CVM. Subi says, what's metrics to find competitive keywords niche?" I'm not sure what you're saying there. Schubert says, "ClickFunnels or e-commerce sites, or no, or just tutorial sites?" I also don't know what you're asking there, Schubert. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I try to do Q&As as much as I can, but you can leave your questions in this White Hat Network, and I will try to answer them over video in the next few days. Subi says, "What's your SEO thoughts on e-commerce?" That would be a whole nother video, Subi, I'm sorry. NMR says, "Yeah, I have had family and friends who know nothing about SEO, SEM, and what we do say that they never click on those ads, almost as if they don't trust the ads." Yeah, so I mean, I definitely have had a lot of success with ads, especially with the iPhone repair company, but like I said, that's for a future conversation, and I will be talking about that and showing how I do it step by step in the new course. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do enjoy these videos, make sure you subscribe and press the little bell icon to the right of the subscribe button so you can get notified, because the subscribe button doesn't actually do anything anymore. And if you also like these videos, make sure you leave a like. So until I see you guys next time, happy SEOing.